The day Prince Harry walked away from royal life, the world believed he was choosing freedom, love, and a fresh beginning far away from palace walls. But behind the headlines and carefully staged photographs, something much darker was already taking shape. According to explosive claims now circulating among royal insiders, Harry may have unknowingly signed documents capable of destroying everything tied to his future, his money, his public image, even the right to control his own story. What makes the situation even more disturbing is the moment those papers were reportedly placed in front of him. Harry was emotionally exhausted, cut off from the life he had known since birth, locked in bitter conflict with his family, and struggling under pressure unlike anything he had faced before. Friends say he was vulnerable, overwhelmed, and desperate to believe somebody was finally standing beside him unconditionally. Yet while he believed he was building a new future in California, insiders claim private business structures were quietly being arranged behind closed doors. Former staff members later described a household where access to Harry became increasingly controlled, with messages filtered, friendships fading away, and trusted voices disappearing one after another. By the time the royal split exploded publicly, many people close to him felt he was no longer seeing the outside world clearly. Those who tried to question what was happening often found themselves pushed out completely. Meanwhile, legal paperwork connected to branding rights, media projects, and future earnings was allegedly expanding at an astonishing pace. What looked to the public like a glamorous reinvention may actually have been the careful construction of financial protection long before rumors of problems ever reached the press. The deeper investigators looked, the more unsettling the story became. Hollywood associates, former employees, and legal professionals all painted a remarkably similar picture, one of strategic planning, image management, and ruthless preparation hidden beneath the appearance of a modern fairy tale romance. Long before Prince Harry entered the picture, people who knew Meghan privately say she already understood exactly how power worked in both Hollywood and public life. Former colleagues described someone fiercely focused on independence, reputation, and long-term security. Several insiders claim she approached relationships with extraordinary intensity in the beginning, creating deep loyalty before suddenly cutting ties once circumstances changed. According to sources connected to past business deals, every move was carefully considered, especially when money or public image became involved. Investigators revisiting her earlier marriage uncovered details that now seem impossible to ignore. What appeared publicly as a simple divorce reportedly involved highly detailed negotiations designed to protect future earnings and personal ownership over projects developed during the relationship. Friends of people involved later described the legal strategy as unusually aggressive for a relatively quiet Hollywood split. Years later, royal observers believe many of those same ideas resurfaced on a far larger scale after her marriage to Harry. By the time the couple settled in California, new companies, trademarks, and business ventures were allegedly being registered under structures connected solely to Meghan. Media deals, brand launches, publishing projects, and lifestyle businesses increasingly appeared with her name positioned at the center, while Harry seemed pulled deeper into lawsuits, interviews, and public battles with the British press. People close to the situation noticed a shift almost immediately. Public appearances together became less frequent, joint interviews faded away, and the once carefully crafted image of complete unity slowly began cracking in front of the world. Yet behind the scenes, financial experts now claim those years were some of the most important of all because that was when the legal groundwork for future independence may have been fully secured. One advisor reportedly described the arrangements as too organized to be accidental. Another claimed the separation between personal assets and shared assets had become so advanced that reversing it later would be nearly impossible. At the exact same time Harry appeared emotionally drained and increasingly isolated, powerful crisis management experts were quietly returning to Meghan's side, a move many insiders believe signaled preparation for something far bigger still to come. Now royal watchers fear the final chapter of this story may already be approaching, and if the rumors prove true, the fallout could be devastating. Legal experts familiar with California divorce law say the person who controls the business narrative before separation often enters court with enormous advantage. That is why recent developments have caused such panic among those close to Harry. Sources claim years of planning may finally be converging at once. The private companies, the trademark filings, the independent income streams, and the carefully managed public image. If a split happens, insiders believe Harry could find himself facing battles on every side simultaneously, financially, emotionally, and personally. Friends describe him as deeply fragile beneath the surface, still carrying trauma from losing his mother at such a young age and spending decades trapped inside a royal system that never allowed him to properly heal. According to former staff, Meghan understood those emotional wounds from the very beginning and slowly became the center of Harry's entire world. Over time, old friendships disappeared, family bond collapsed, and anyone who questioned the relationship was pushed further away. By the time he realized how alone he had become, there was almost nobody left close enough to pull him back. What makes the situation truly heartbreaking is that Harry reportedly believed every sacrifice he made was for love. He gave up royal protection, lifelong relationships, public respect, and the only identity he had ever known because he trusted the future being promised to him. But insiders now fear that future may have been designed very differently behind closed doors. Nobody close to Prince Harry expected things to unravel this fast. From the outside, Montecito still looked picture perfect. Luxury cars pulling through private gates, carefully staged appearances, polished smiles during interviews. But behind those walls, insiders now claim the atmosphere had turned painfully cold long before the public noticed anything was wrong. According to people connected to former household staff, there were periods where Harry would completely disappear from Meghan's inner circle for days at a time, locking himself away while tension inside the mansion quietly exploded. Staff allegedly noticed conversations stopping the second Harry entered the room, meetings taking place without him, and important business decisions being discussed after he had already left. One former insider claimed Harry slowly became a guest inside his own life, watching companies, projects, and financial structures grow around him without fully understanding who truly controlled them. At the same time, Meghan's public image was shifting carefully and deliberately. She began stepping forward alone more often, appearing at events without Harry, speaking about personal ambition, independence, and future plans that noticeably avoided mentioning their marriage. To the public it looked subtle, but people familiar with Hollywood divorce strategy immediately recognized the pattern. Industry experts say this is often how separation branding begins. One partner slowly positioning themselves as an individual long before legal papers are ever filed. What frightened Harry's remaining friends most was how emotionally exhausted he had become during this period. They described phone calls where he sounded confused, paranoid, and deeply isolated, constantly questioning who he could trust anymore. Several old friends reportedly tried reaching out privately, but their communication with Harry became increasingly limited. Some claim messages stopped being answered entirely. Others believed someone around him was carefully controlling access. While Harry fought endless legal battles in Britain and relived years of anger against the press in front of television cameras, insiders now believe something much bigger was happening quietly in California. Every lawsuit, every public interview, every emotional breakdown only pushed him further into the image of instability, while Meghan's side appeared calmer, organized, and legally protected. To people watching closely, the balance of power inside the marriage no longer looked equal at all. Then came the detail that reportedly shocked even experienced investigators. According to financial sources close to the situation, several business entities linked to Meghan had already been separated so carefully that untangling them now could take years inside courtrooms. Lawyers familiar with celebrity divorces say this kind of planning rarely happens suddenly. It is usually built slowly over time, piece by piece, while the relationship still appears stable publicly. Insiders claim trademarks connected to future lifestyle brands, publishing rights, media opportunities, and commercial partnerships were quietly placed under structures that protected independent ownership long before rumors of separation became serious. One advisor allegedly described the setup as a fortress built in silence. The most disturbing part for Harry's supporters is a belief that he may never have fully understood how exposed he was becoming financially. Sources claim he remained heavily focused on fighting newspapers, protecting his public image, and proving himself right against the royal family while major financial decisions unfolded around him. Some insiders even believe the constant legal battles benefited Meghan strategically because they increased Harry's personal liabilities while separate ventures tied to her name continued growing safely outside that risk. Former palace figures now argue that Harry's emotional dependence made the situation even more dangerous. They say he had spent years searching for someone who could replace the emotional security he lost after Princess Diana's death, making him incredibly vulnerable to anyone offering unconditional support. According to people who knew him before California, Harry became almost unrecognizable over time, more isolated, defensive, and suspicious of anyone who questioned his relationship. The transformation shocked many who had known him for decades. Some even described it as watching someone slowly disappear in front of them while being unable to stop it. Meanwhile, Meghan reportedly became increasingly focused on securing her own long-term future in America.